Let's talk about Princeton University, the pros, the cons, and how to get in. Princeton is located in the small college town of Princeton, New Jersey, which is about an hour outside of New York City. And it's the second smallest Ivy League with only about 5,500 students, which gives it a very kind of small liberal arts feel. But probably the most important thing to know about Princeton is these days it's ranked as one of the most prestigious, if not the most prestigious, college in America. It always ranks in the top 5 along with Harvard and Yale. And for the past few years, it's been ranked as number 1. Now, you always have to take these rankings with a grain of salt. There's a lot of things mixed into that ranking with actually have not much to do with the quality of education. But you should know that it's extremely prestigious. It's very difficult to get into. And when you graduate from Princeton, it will certainly open a lot of doors for you. You can't talk about Princeton without talking about its hyper-competitive grind culture. What does that mean? Well, of all the Ivy Leagues, there are a few which are known for having the most difficult courses, and that would include Princeton, Columbia, and Cornell, with perhaps Princeton at the top of that list. Princeton is renowned for having incredibly difficult courses, a lot of the introductory courses, large lecture halls. The professors grade on a curve. So students who are used to getting A's are now getting B's, are now sometimes getting C's. It's very difficult to do well. And the course load itself is very overwhelming. So students who did exceptionally well in high school, got straight A's across the board in AP classes, often really struggle in Princeton because there's so much work to do and the grading is known as being harsh. In addition to that, the culture at Princeton is hyper intense between classmates. Perhaps because it tends to attract intense overachievers. There's a lot of one-upmanship that takes place on campus. And your roommate or students in your class or your friends, they're always doing more than you. There's always someone who's securing a better summer job, or there's someone who's nabbing the perfect research opportunity, or there's someone who just launched a new social media channel and now has 1 million followers. It just seems like that at Princeton, everyone around you is doing twice as much as you're doing. And it leads a lot of students to feel really badly about themselves. Even really smart, high-achieving students end up feeling like they're not doing nearly enough. And the good side is that it certainly motivates students to always do more and to push the boundaries of what they're capable of. On the other hand, it really kind of makes a lot of students feel anxious, depressed, and feeling like they're never doing enough. What are some of the pros of Princeton? Well, one of the first pros is the incredible prestige of the school. Princeton these days is renowned for being one of the best universities in the entire world. Getting in is extremely difficult. So when you're looking for research programs or internships or jobs after graduation, or you're looking to apply to graduate schools, you're immediately on the top of everyone's list. It's right up there with Harvard. Everyone knows that Princeton is just this incredible school, and if you got through it, you must be something special. Another pro of Princeton is its ideal location. Princeton really offers the best of both worlds. On the one hand, you're in this small, safe, idyllic college town of Princeton, New Jersey. And on the other hand, you're only an hour train ride to New York City. So you have the beauty of this Gothic-style campus. It's a smaller student body. There's a lot to do on campus, and you get that true American college experience. On the other hand, if you're looking to get out, if you're looking for some entertainment options, if you're looking for job prospects or internship opportunities, it's just an hour away. And you compare this with, say, Dartmouth or Cornell, which are excellent schools, but they're way up in the middle of nowhere. So Princeton gives you the best of both worlds, a small town campus feel that's adjacent to one of the best cities in the world. And a third pro of Princeton is the focus on undergraduate teaching. Technically speaking, Princeton is a university. It does have a small graduate program, but undeniably, the focus of the university is on undergraduate education. So all of your teachers there are going to be professors who are there first and foremost to teach. And it will never be the case that your classes are taught by a graduate student or a teaching assistant, such as you would find at a large university like Harvard or Columbia or Yale. That's great because you've got incredible teachers, incredible professors, and they're all there to serve you. In addition, Princeton puts a really strong emphasis on writing, and it's ranked as having some of the best writing programs in the country. All students at Princeton before they graduate have to complete a senior thesis. And just in general, a lot of the courses at Princeton require you to do a lot of writing. So you'll definitely grow as a writer. What are some of the cons of Princeton? One of the biggest cons is the hyper-competitive culture. At any of the Ivy League schools, you're going to be surrounded by very bright, ambitious students. That's a given. But for some reason, at Princeton, the culture is one where it feels like this pressure cooker. Everyone around you seems like they're doing 10 times more than what you're doing. And it really leads many students to doubt themselves and to get anxious and depressed. So what you need to realize is that on the one hand, you're going to be surrounded by students who are smart and motivated and ambitious and maybe pushing you to do more and to do your best. But on the other hand, you have to make sure that you don't lose a sense of self and that you don't constantly compare yourself to everyone else, because everyone around you is going to be doing more. Another con of Princeton is that it's renowned for being a grind school. And that means that the workload is extremely difficult, much more so than at most schools. And that means that you're going to spend a lot of your time studying, a disproportionate amount of your time studying. So instead of being able to take advantage of some clubs or doing fun things or hanging out or going to New York or kind of expanding your horizons in other ways, you're really going to need to focus on your courses, because the grading is harsh, the coursework is difficult, there's a lot of homework, and you just need to study constantly. And another potential con of Princeton are the eating clubs. Now, these might be a pro or a con depending on your perspective, but the eating clubs are basically like co-ed fraternities that you can join when you become an upperclassman, which is a junior or a senior. And these eating clubs quickly become a focal point of your social life. So you'll eat all of your meals there because they're called eating clubs, but you'll also hang out there and you'll really become friends with all the students there. And you could even live there if you're one of the officers in the club. Now that can be good because it can provide this kind of fraternity of students, both male and female, that you bond with. But a lot of students also complain that it kind of fractures the relationships, because when they were freshmen and sophomores, they developed friendships with people and they were able to eat with them and hang out with them. And suddenly now they're in an exclusive eating club, which could be difficult to get into. So you don't get meals with them and you can't go to parties with them. And you've got to get on a guest list to be able to hang out with them. And so it has this kind of elitist structure to it that some students enjoy because it gives them this family feel, but some students feel like it really kind of fractures the Princeton community. How to get into Princeton? The first tip is that you need to be an extreme overachiever in one area. Everyone who gets into Princeton is a straight A student, just like at all the Ivy Leagues. But Princeton is notorious for attracting students who have hyper succeeded in one particular area. So they're a straight A student and they're also a nationally ranked athlete. Or they're a straight A student and they're also one of the best cellists in the nation. It can sometimes feel like everyone at Princeton has one area of expertise where they're one of the best in the nation. It just attracts that kind of person. So if you can become that type of person in high school or position yourself as that type of person in your application, someone who's really picked one area of specialty where you've become an expert, that's what Princeton seems to enjoy. The second tip for getting into Princeton is to apply early. Princeton no longer offers early decision. They replaced it with something called single choice early action, and it's a non-binding commitment. You still have to apply early, but if you get accepted, you don't have to go there. Now, if you apply regular decision, you've got about a 4% chance of getting in. And if you apply single choice early action, you've got about an 8% chance of getting in. Now, that may seem like it doubles your odds of getting in, but truthfully, it probably has much more to do with the higher caliber of early applicants than with anything else. So whether you actually have an advantage applying early is doubtful. However, it's worth knowing that about 45% of the freshman class is actually made up of early applicants. So if you wait until regular decision to apply to Princeton, half the seats are already gone. So in that sense, I would say if you know that Princeton is your first choice, then apply single choice early action. There's really no downside. And the third tip for getting into Princeton is that you really need to submit your SAT or ACT scores. Now, like all the Ivy Leagues, Princeton is test optional, so you don't have to submit your scores with your application. But it's worth knowing that for the class of 2026, 85% of accepted students submitted either their SAT score or their ACT score. And for that, you really want to be around 1550 for SAT or around 34, 35 for ACT. So what that tells you is that the vast majority of students who get accepted to Princeton, more than 4 out of 5, they all submit their scores. Can you get in without submitting? Yes, but you really have to be an exceptional candidate. And my advice to you is the same advice I give for all the Ivies. Enroll in a test prep class. Do as well as you possibly can on those tests. And if you're anywhere near that threshold, submit your score.